go. I missed hitting the button. Welcome, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the studio this evening, where we are going, or I guess I am going to attempt to paint a glass of lemonade, a jar of lemonade, a jarred handle of lemonade. I'm not sure what you would call this, but welcome, Dwayne. Welcome, Michelle. Glad you guys are here. Michelle, you're curious to see how I'm going to do this. So am I. Because I'm not exactly sure at the moment. But to go over some preliminaries. This is an old sheet of paper. This is a piece of Arches paper. I don't know. This is 9 by 10 maybe. Piece of watercolor paper. Over on the right hand side, the paints that I normally use, the paints I'm using now, these are my M. Graham paints. I love my M. Graham paints. And once again, I'm going to be using my King Art paint brushes. There they are. 9020 series, if you can see it, and I guess away we go, right? Let's all start. let's do this. Let's all start with a little bit of a laugh. I 3 minutes ago, I sat down here. I took a deep breath, and I'm like, okay, I am ready to go for this. And I looked up over there, which is where my water is at, and I looked at it, and one's red and one's brownish, and I went, oh no, I've got to change my water. So I ran out to change my water. Subsequently spilled water in my shoe. My one sock is soaking, but that's okay. That's all right. We're going to make this fun and entertaining and wonderful all the same. It's just going to take a moment. Okay, I am going to start by doing this. I'm going to take the yellowest, the coldest yellow I have. Not the yellowest. The coldest yellow I have, which for me is a Hansa yellow. If I had a lemon yellow, I'd probably use a lemon yellow, but I would probably adjust it a little bit anyways. But here it is. Here's my Hansa yellow. I'm going to make a very light wash of this Hansa yellow, and I'm going to do a good job to spread this out over most of this painting. This will be a very light wash of the lemonade that is in here. And let's see, I can go right over that lemon. I can go totally right over top of that. And I just want this to be the base layer. This will end up being the lightest highlights that are in there. What we're talking about are the ice cubes, which are white but have a little bit of a tint to them, just ever so slight of a tint to them. We're talking the lemons that are in there. Of course, we're talking any of the liquid that's in there. And what else goes in here? I guess that's about it. But a very light wash of this, very, very light. Let's get it on there, and then let's let that dry. We'll see if we need to adjust it or how it looks when it's done, and then we'll move on to something else very quickly. So, I should say, this is kind of apropos for me. Now that a fall has officially come. We've been in fall, 3 days now we've been in fall. This has been the hottest part of the year here in my neck of the woods, my corner of the United States. Hottest days of the year, completely roasting. Last night we actually even had a thunderstorm, which I don't know when the last thunderstorm we ever had was, but had a thunderstorm. It's as though it's the middle of summer in the Midwest somewhere. So for me, it's been blazing for a couple of days. I would be looking forward to a nice big glass of lemonade like this. I don't know, quite honestly, if summer has come and gone with the rest of the country or not, or wherever you live, if summer has come and gone. I guess I guess we do have a couple people who watch from the southern hemisphere, and they're in the middle of their winter now, but we'll figure that out as we come to it. Okay, so there is my very light wash. Now, what I'm hoping to do, I'm going to let this dry. It should lighten up a little bit. And if we look at the reference photo, what you'll see is, well, you'll see the rind of these lemons, and this whole lemon is a bit darker, but when you look at it, you'll also see the lemonade down here is a little darker. There's a couple of darker spots up here, and down in this corner it's a bit darker, and that's going to give us a great opportunity to add some interest to this painting, let alone once the ice starts coming in there. Dwayne says hot and dry here, but rain and cool down after tonight. Oh, good. It's always, I like the fall. When the fall gets here and the mornings get cooler, the nights get cooler. All of a sudden, you're not kind of going, whew, it's been hot for a long, long time. The sun goes down. It's still hot for hours after the sun goes down. I'm always like, we got to do something else. We got to move on to something else. Let's see. In addition to what we're doing here, I'm going to put on a full background here. Kind of. So to start with that, I'm going to mix a green up. I'm going to do a cobalt green here. And since we can start, I don't know, we can start over here. We won't touch much of this. It shouldn't run out. I think we'll be okay. Let me get a cobalt green going here. And I'm going to add some gamboge into that. It's going to make a nice warm green, a nice warm summery kind of a green. And I'm going to need to make a decision where I want this to come down to. So here's what I'm thinking. If you look at the reference photo, there it is. The picnic table comes up almost to the top of the lemon that's next to the lemonade. Well, I drew my cup too big, and I didn't have a room for that full lemon, but I'm going to put some of that lemon on there. But it gives me the opportunity to set that background anywhere below the top of that lemon that I want. What I mean is, I have drawn the top of my lemon here, so I can make that table line, I'm going to call it, go anywhere in here I want, provided it looks as though this can sit on it. However big this is, that can sit on it. So I think I'm going to make my line about here, which is, I think, a little less than halfway up the page. What I want to try to avoid is dividing my page in half. I don't want to divide my page in half schematically, thematically, right, artistically, however we want to say that. I want that, you know, it ends up being the horizon line. I want that horizon line to be lower than halfway down. If I had drawn this lemon over here a little differently, or if I wanted to put the edge of that table above that lemon, I could have done it up here. That would have made it look like that table goes way out. But I think somewhere in here is probably a pretty good area. And I'm just going to continue with this color. Up and around. Now, as I was thinking about this, I have to put some kind of a color here, because if you look at the reference photo, and I should say you can get the reference photo in Discord, I've put it up there, or you can look at it here with me. If you look at that reference photo, and you look at the glass, the mouth of this jar, well, you'll see some dark lines there. And if I were to leave the background white and I drew some dark lines on there, I fear it would look a little odd. And so I told myself, I think I have to put on somewhat of a background on this one. I can't get away with not doing a background. I've got to do something. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm just getting ahead of that background ever so slightly. And I hope that makes sense. I totally hope it does. Bit of a quiet crowd today, which is okay. I should say I do have some big news for everybody. I have some very big news that I'm excited to share. Everybody can know about it. There's no secret or anything. It doesn't have anything to do with watercolors or paints or art or anything like that. It's not nearly as fun as that. My big news is that after 10 years of owning one car, and I should say I actually love that car. Cost me nothing. It ran wonderfully for every day that I had it. It still runs perfectly. It's an electric car, and the battery life is not quite what it used to be. But I think I've gotten my money out of it. I have gotten myself a new used car, and it is joyous to drive around. It's a fantastic car. I should say, I'm still learning the car. I've had it for 3 days now, and I'm extolling the greatness of this car. It might break on me tomorrow. I don't know, but so far it's been wonderful to have a new-ish car and all the excitement that goes along with that. Okay, here we go. So I appreciate you all just kind of playing along as I've been rambling on and telling a story, just filling in the background here. So what I've done, and you can readily see it, whether you recognize it or not, you can readily see it. My mixture of the gamboge and the cobalt green didn't mix all the way. So when you look at this, there's some real interest in the background. There's a couple of darker spots. There's a couple of yellower spots. There's some lighter spots. There's some greener spots. There's a lot going on in the background without doing a whole lot. And I like that. I don't want it to be too busy as we're doing anything, right? I want it to be there, but not be too crazy. And then as we get to it, we'll carry that color into the lip of the... Oh, look, I missed a spot here. We'll carry that color into the lip of this cup and wherever else it needs to go. Just a big spot right here. Let's get that in. And this will help us set up how we do the rest of the painting. We can paint the table down here, later. But as we go through and we're trying to do a little color matching and whatnot, we need this. Is my new car also electric? It is electric. For anybody who's a gas-powered car person, I don't blame you. But since I went to an electric car, however, 10 years ago, whenever I bought the car was 13. I think I've had it 10 years. I don't think I could ever go back. The range for me was always the big problem. This car's got enough range; it will drive for forever. And it's albeit a short time, it's been completely fantastic. Love it. Okay, so I'm looking at this. This is dried pretty light. This has got a little bit more to go, so we got some more to dry on that. I guess we can start with our table up here, can't we? While we're waiting for that. Okay, so table is a wood color. Where can I put a wood color? Let's put a wood color up here. Let's get this purple. I think this purple was left over from last week. I cleaned everything else. I did a little painting, but I obviously didn't need this spot while I was doing other painting. So let's just wipe that out of there. I do have some other car news for you. This is actually pretty funny. My son found a car on Craigslist. Dwayne says, "You've only ridden by one. You're surprised by the giddy up, instant torque, instant acceleration in an electric car. It is surprising." I read the review of my car by company that does reviews, Edmund. I think it was Edmunds. Anyway, one of the car companies, and they were lamenting the fact that the car only had 244 horsepower. I went, Only 244 horsepower. What an inconvenience to only have 244 horsepower. But I thought that was quite funny. It's only got 244 horsepower. Yeah, the electric cars are a little surprising if you don't know it. When you put your foot down, you get up and you go pretty quickly. That's one of the things that make them so cool. One of the things. But my son, who is taking all kinds of automotive classes, to his credit, and he's doing exceedingly well. He really loves it. I'm glad to encourage him to continue to work in the automotive field. I think it's a great, I was going to call it a craft, a great skill that he'll be able to use for his entire life. Whether he takes that on and becomes some kind of a mechanic or not, I just want to encourage the learning that he's doing with it, and it's fantastic. Anyway, he wanted to buy an old Mercedes wagon and found one on Craigslist, went to visit it, and it was not in as good a shape as the ad kind of inferred. And so he had to pass on that. He's been looking for another wagon to buy. I should say the wagon that he had to pass on was like a 1983 Mercedes diesel wagon, a 300D or a 240D, something like that. A really cool old car. I know I'm probably getting a little esoteric for some, but that's, just hang with me. So anyways, after I got my car, he's looking through Craigslist. He found a different wagon. Still looks cool. It's an old Volvo station wagon, and it was for sale for parts, right? Parts car. Either the people who were selling it couldn't get it to run or couldn't get it to do, or had some check light and they didn't want to deal with it. Well, he's like, I'll deal with it. You know, he's in the automotive class, and let him get one to do some playing around with and whatnot. So he bought it. It was $400. Brought it home, put a sensor on it. The biggest problem was that the tire pressure sensor gauge was broken. So he bought another one for $20. He's going to put it in. He can't find any other faults with it. Well, he almost can't find any more faults with it. Mechanically, he can't find any faults with it. Everything works. I'm like, okay, you just bought yourself a $400 car. At least it will be easy to insure. Okay, what are we going to do? So, what I want to do now is I want to go back to my yellow. I can warm it just a little bit if I want, but still mostly pretty cool color. And I want to start figuring out where these ice cubes are and painting everything that's not an ice cube. So I've got some ice here. I can go around. Oh, you know what? I forgot to draw on here. Shoot. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? All right, I guess I'm not going to do this. I was going to put the ball jar label on here, and now all of a sudden I've got stuff on here, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get it on there. Well, we'll make do. We'll make do. It'll be all right. I totally wasn't thinking about that at all. I don't know. I got this done. I did this drawing last night, and I was like, okay, whew, good. This is just about exactly like I want. And I guess I didn't go back and double check my work. But it will be okay. Things like this do happen. Let's see, other things that are happening around my house. Anybody who has an interest in this, I'll give you all a chicken update. Everybody likes to hear about the chickens. The little chickens are growing rapidly into big chickens. They are the little ones, so they're, let's see, September is the 9th month, right? September's the 9th month. They are about 6.5 months old, and they are the same size as my big adult birds. It's not going to be long. It will not be long at all before they completely overtake them in size. I'm sure it will be much to the dismay of the big birds now. Let's see, we got quite a bit fewer people in here this week than we've had in previous weeks. Hopefully everybody is able to come at some point. I don't know. I like having a larger group. I think it's much more fun to talk to a lot of people and start some different discussions. Oh, speaking of discussions, I do have some lemonade facts I've pulled up. I talk about doing facts about whatever we are painting from time to time, and then it seems I always forget to pull those up. So I have some handy lemonade facts if anybody wants to know that, and I could turn it into a little bit of lemonade trivia. How's that? Here's a question for you. When do you think the first lemonade was made? The first years somebody drank lemonade. What we would generally consider lemonade today. That probably gives you a hint. It's a little older than you might think. I'm going to let you think about that for a little bit. Just a little bit. This might have gotten a little too warm down here. I'm just going to pull a little bit of that off. And I think as we put on our next layer, we might want to cool this down just ever so slightly up here. But I think we're doing okay with it right now. I'm going to put on over here. As this is wet, I want to move on to another spot. Okay, so Dwayne says 1878. That's close-ish. That's close. Wikipedia says the earliest recipes for what we would consider lemonade date back to the 12th century. And it was documented in an Egyptian treatise, the Treatise on Lemon, Its Drinking and Use by court physician Ibn Jumay. It was made with lemons, dates, and honey. Actually, it sounds really sweet, but it doesn't sound too bad. In the 1100s, the 12th century, I saw that and I was like, holy cow, are you kidding me? That's like ancient. Never in my life did I think that. And then in England, the first recipe for it came from 1663. 1663 in England. Wow. It's been around for forever. I'm completely flabbergasted that lemonade would have ever been around for that long. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of this green, and I'm going to throw some of this olive green into it because I want my reflection in this glass to be a little darker than it actually is. And I'm going to make a few little dark areas, and I'm going to try to leave a little bit of light as though it's a reflection. So right at the top of this is a delicate little area. I think what I need to do is get a smaller brush. So a little bit of, let's see, this leaf comes down here, a little bit of color here. I'm going to mix in a little bit of yellow, reflected color over here. That's my fun fact, my lemonade fun facts for you. Fun facts of things you never wanted fun facts about. But I thought I had actually a couple of extra minutes. And I'm like, I'm just gonna call this up and take a look and see what's going on with this. And I was completely shocked. Is that mostly a straight line? That's mostly a straight line. Can I put my hand on this? I want to get some reflected colors in here. So I'm purposely trying to go a little slow and mix these colors a little bit. And in this area, if I leave a little white, I think I'm not going to worry about it too much. Because I think there should be a little light color in there. And I'm gonna go off course here. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to mix in like a third color here, and not one that's in really the rest of this painting. It's a little bit of a blue, and I'm hoping that that's going to look like a bit of a shine there. Let's see. But one good thing tonight, what we're not seeing, is the internet tweak out a little bit. I've installed every update I can think of. I have rebooted every device I have. I think we should be good with the stability of the internet out here today. I hope so. Last week was really frustrating for me to see the internet just go up and down and up and down and up and down. It's been a long time since it's done that, and that didn't make me happy. All right, and I will admit this is seemingly a little bit more fiddly than I wanted it to be this early on in this painting, but that's okay. We're gonna get through this. All right, and we got a little bit of color up there, something that sets that off. And you know what? I can already tell you that's not dark enough for me. That is not dark enough for me. I want that much darker. And I want it a lot darker because I want to accentuate the side of this. So we're going to let the paint do that work for us. Now, does that look better? That looks a little better. It looks now, to me anyways, as though that glass is standing in front of the background. It's dark enough. We've gotten a big enough difference there. Yes. Better. Oh my gosh. So much better. So the funny thing about these shadows, they're not even really shadows. These dark areas in reflected light. It's interesting that oftentimes you have to make the dark areas so much darker to make those light areas pop that much more, and then it seems right, even though it's a little counterintuitive to paint it that dark. Liza is here. Hello, Liza. You made it on time. Right on time. I'm going to... Let's see. I'm going to take a lighter color, and I'm going to send it right around the back here. Shoom. and right on down. And I don't, you can see what I'm doing. I don't typically draw in all these reflection lines, and I don't have a good reason for that. Sometimes I think I should. Sometimes I'm like, not really what I want to do. Oftentimes I'm like, I feel as I do better if I just kind of go with the flow on some of these instead of prescribing exactly where it needs to be. And then sometimes I do it and I would say, you know what, I really should have drawn that on, and it would have been a lot better. So I struggle with knowing exactly what to do with these, but I think for this one we're gonna do it, and it's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be just about right. And I'm really kind of just putting in some of the colors that would be reflected up in this and kind of where they would be reflected at. And I'm going to take this up kind of like that. So now you can start to see some reflected color that's coming up from the table here in either that or that little bit down there. And when we get some dark next to that, I think that's going to make it pop even more. Even more. And while we're waiting for this to dry now, this is why I don't do backgrounds. Do I paint to the line, or do I paint just over the line? I feel like sometimes I get a bit of a white line there, whether I want it to or not. Michelle says it really makes it stand out. This stuff up here, as soon as you put that really dark on there, it just pops off of there. And it's weird because that dark is going to seem like it's so dark compared to the rest of everything. It's going to make everything else seem really not dark. That's a great description there. It's going to make it seem so what is the word I'm looking for? It's going to make it stand out is what it's going to do. I need a little bit more blue in here. I'm trying to make my own gray. I want to make it a little more blue gray. And I want this gray to be on my ice in here. Something like that. We're starting to form the shape of these ice cubes. We've let the color kind of go on its own a little bit. Now we're adding another layer on to it. That yellow is underneath, so it's always going to have a yellow tint kind of underneath it. But this blue is going to give it some form and some mass to what we're looking at. And I'm going to do the same thing with this little piece of ice over here. The thing to watch out when you're doing this is you can easily add too much color onto your ice. You can make your ice look super unnatural in no time. The key, the thing to do that's hard to do, and I'm hoping I've got it, is making that ice shadow color just colorful enough that you can see where that ice cube is, but not so much that it takes away from that nice color of your lemonade inside there. There we go. And let's see. This is kind of a big whole icy area here. How are you painting your water colors? Does not run much. Okay, Light Star. I don't use much water. I really don't use much water. First of all, fantastic question. Absolutely fantastic question. And when you see some people who paint watercolors and they cover their page up with water, and they're throwing liquid around and paint around all over the place. And if you watch those and you're like me and you're going, oh my, what are we looking at here? This is going to turn out to be a disaster. And whether it does or whether it doesn't, how it affects the page and the paper is always a bit different, right? So for me, I can paint like that, but to me, that's not where I want to make my living as a watercolor artist. And so when I mix my colors and when I mix water with them, one of the things I try to do, one of the things I really try to do is work in a small area. So this area right over here that I'm working on, I need to blue this up a little bit more. There we go. This area, I'm never going to put enough color in that area or enough water in this area, especially on a painting this size, that's going to cause my painting to buckle or to run or anything like that. I've just learned that as I do some of these paintings for my own deal, it's so much easier to, and it gives me that little bit of control that you really want in watercolors if I just limit the area that I paint in and limit the amount of water that I use. So you were here last week. Well, is that right? I'm pretty sure it was last week you were here. You saw me paint. I probably painted a little bit in an area, much like this, and then a little bit in a different area and a little bit in a different area. And you'll see other artists do that. That's not anything specific with me. But what is specific to me and what is specific to many watercolor artists is how you choose that area. And I try to make sure I choose an area that is pretty small. Yeah, you were here last week. Okay, cool. How much water do you put on your brush, and do you wet your watercolor palette or not? So another or two more great questions. Let's start with the palette first. I don't. But I don't do it not because you can't or you shouldn't. I don't do it because the paints I use don't require it. So if you give me 1 second. This can be used as just an example, I think. Yes. So in here, right, this is just a travel palette. Everybody has seen these. Everybody has used these. Let me move the lemonade out of the way for just a second. And if I got a scrap piece of paper down here somewhere, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Whatever it is, come on. Okay. This is not a good sheet of paper. I'm looking at these paints, and I'm going to bet you these are Winsor & Newton Cotman paints. So over here, this is going to be a good test. Over here, I have cobalt blue. It looks like I have a cobalt blue here also. Let's do a little test. I haven't wet my cobalt blue over on my palette. I'm going to dip my brush. Here, I'll do this so you can see everything I do. I'm dip my brush ever so slightly. I'm going to pull it out. Get a little bit of this cobalt blue. And I've got a nice bit of cobalt blue. Okay? This one, same thing with my brush. Get it wet. Pull it off. Try to get some cobalt blue, and well, it's there. It's there, but it's lighter. Right? There's not quite as much there. It's the thickness isn't there. The density isn't there. So for this one, if I did it again, probably that's a better grab of it. It's just it's fuller. There's more there. So this one, if I took this out painting with me, I would also take a little water bottle and give it a spritz before I use it. let that water soften the top of these, and then off I go. But the paints I have on my palette here that I normally use are so fantastic, I don't need to do that. Let me get this out of the way. And the other half of your question was, how much water do you put on your brush? I put just enough. That's a tougher thing to answer. You want to put enough on so that you don't make your painting look overworked, right? If you don't have enough water and you keep going over and over and over, you'll get these weird lines and it looks odd. And you probably don't want that. If you put too much, then you run the risk of flooding out an area, and again, it's difficult to use. It doesn't look great all the time, and you get frustrated with it. How do you know what the difference is there? Experience. It's not an easy thing to know. It's not an easy thing to do. You see me, or you might see me tapping my brush a lot. I have a preferred dampness on all of my brushes that I like to use. It does catch me out from time to time if I am switching brushes. If I go from one brush to another brush, and like if I go from this brush to this brush, even if they were more similar size, this one would hold 2 to 3 times as much water. And so for me to kind of get around that, I stick with using one brush or one type of brush for a longer amount of time. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you for the answer. Your work is very refined and well groomed. I struggle with watercolors. If you struggle with watercolors, I feel for you. I struggle with watercolors. Just remember this. It's a sliding scale. You're going to be frustrated with some, and you're going to think some is great, and they're all probably pretty good. It's that watercolor has that effect on you, and it makes you think, oh man, I'm not doing exactly what I need to do, or this isn't turning out how I wanted, and you then start to think, because it didn't turn out exactly the way you have it in your mind, that it's not right or it's not good. And that usually is not the case. Usually you're doing it right, or you're doing something good, or you're going to end up with a product that looks good in the end. It's just watercolors messing with you. And watercolors are exceedingly good at that. So if you're feeling that you're not good with watercolors, I would say a couple of things. One, give yourself a little grace. Watercolors, it is not always the easiest medium to use. And two, and this really helped me out. Seriously, this helped me out. Get in the mindset that I can't go into a painting with the end product, set in concrete in my mind. I can go into it with it kind of set on sand, on sandy stilts in my mind, and I'll probably end up with something that's pretty cool, but it may not be exactly what my forethought told me it was going to be. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of, you've got to play the game of give and take with watercolors and let it do its fair share of taking, and you can give to it a lot of what you want. But there has to be some of that understanding. Let's see. Am I using watercolor paper or regular computer printed paper? This is a light piece of paper. It feels light to me. This is a piece of Arches watercolor paper. It feels like it's not 140 pound. It might be 90. It could be 100. I don't know. But it doesn't feel 140 pound. It feels lighter than that. But it is watercolor paper. It does have sizing on it. And I would encourage you to use watercolor paper, whether it's wood pulp paper or whether it's cotton paper or what's the other, bamboo paper or some facsimile thereof, the watercolor paper is just going to react to the paint better, right? It's got that bit of sizing on it, and that's going to help. What it actually does is it helps keep the paint off of your paper a little bit longer. That sizing gives you an extra couple of minutes to play around before the water soaks in. And it just helps ever so slightly by giving you more time to do whatever it is you want to do with your painting. So I think I answered that. Michelle says, I love what I'm seeing so far. What I'm seeing so far, I'm assuming. But very late and not well, so we'll be watching in catch up. So look forward to seeing. Okay, Michelle, you're across the pond. I appreciate you stopping in for any amount of time. I know it's way late over there. You said you're not feeling well. I hope you get to feeling better. This is no fun at any point in time when you don't feel well. So please feel better. And if you can watch it in replay or in catch up or whatever, please do. If you can't, I totally understand. It'd be nice if you stopped by next week to say hello. It's wonderful to have you here, but I would totally understand. So have a great night whenever you get out of here, and hopefully we'll see you again next week. Okay, so Lightstar, I hope that answers your question about that. I think it does. I hope it does. Great questions, and don't stop asking great questions. I love answering questions. It's fun. Answering questions is fun. It's fun for me to answer them. I don't know if it's always fun for you guys to hear me answer them. So it's fun for me to answer them. I really do like answering questions. In my normal job, my day job, the one you should all tell me I shouldn't bother to quit. Yes, it does. Thank you. You're totally welcome. I get customer requests submitted to myself and my team, and we get all of our tickets from our customers, and all of our customers are like, I don't want to submit a ticket to you because that's gonna give you guys more work. Then you got more work to do. Can you just do this on the side whenever you're able to? And I'm like, no. That's what we do, is we work in tickets. My team is exceedingly good in working with tickets. Please put a ticket in. Nobody's going to think better or worse of you because you put a ticket in. We're going to think you need some help. Please put a ticket in. That's the way I feel about this is, man, I love doing all my work here and talking about it. I talk about it to myself if you guys aren't here, so quite honestly. So if any of you were to be able to stop by my studio on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon and I'm in here painting away, you're probably going to hear me talking to myself. So the fact that I do it here, in a live stream and you guys listen to it, that's better for me. We will only tell you don't quit your day job if you're a very bad singer. And then again, bad singers become very famous. Yeah, you probably don't want me to sing. I've got right back there. I don't have a guitar I could sing and play with, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ukuleles in here with me. I could pick up one of those and start strumming away. I'm sure nobody wants to hear that either. It's not something anybody needs to say. Actually, I should say, there are a lot of times, it didn't happen today, I will admit, but there are quite a few times when I'm sitting around waiting for the top of the hour to get here. So it's a Wednesday evening. I'm waiting for the top of the hour to get here. And I go into Discord and start. I have a thing there called the pre-stream gathering. I start up the old pre-stream gathering and just start playing on the old ukulele and singing some songs. And as yet, nobody has joined me. And it's probably good that you've all saved your hearing, not listening to me, but and I don't do it every week, but I do get in there from time to time and start, just singing away. 2 weeks ago, I did a whole Billy Joel set. We would love to hear you strum on the ukulele. I do have some cool ukuleles. I have some really, they're not high priced, but they're really cool. Okay, here, I'll tell you what. I don't have any sheet music in front of me. I could probably do a few notes, but I'll show you some of the cool ukuleles I have, which I think some of them I think are really fantastic. You might like them too. I stopped by one day. You were in briefly. I did not join. Dwayne has probably saved your hearing. Okay, so let's see. I'll start with the first one but it's broken. I'll show a couple of them. This is my first one. Oh, there you go. Beautiful little thing. Unfortunately, it's got a broken string here, but it looks beautiful. Look at that. Look at that wood on the face. It's a beautiful ukulele, nice and light. I forget. This is walnut up here with pearl inlay, and it's fantastic. But unfortunately, broken string. That's the first one I'll show you. Oh, and it's electric. This one is electric. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Here's my second one I'll show you. Ooh, it's out of tune. It's badly out of tune. It's badly out of tune. Anyway, mahogany, all mahogany body, solid mahogany body, walnut top. This is some kind of pressed paper reach wood. I don't know. No, I don't do any Tiny Tim. Anyway, I cut out a headstock here. Fantastic. This one is an Enya ukulele. The last one was a Flight. Then I'll show you two others. I know it's always good when you walk away from a live stream, isn't it? This is another one. Whoop, whoop. Let's go this way. This one is probably my favorite. This is actually a laminate body, but it feels so nice. It's got a cool headstock. Where's the camera? Here. It's got a cool cutout headstock. You can go all the way down. You can work all the way down the fret. It's easy to put your hands here when you're fretting. It's a fantastic ukulele. This might be my favorite one. The next one is probably my second favorite one. This one is a bit bigger, but it's pretty cool too. I put that on it for electric pickup. This one is a lot louder. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, you probably couldn't see any of that. That's probably off camera. Yeah, this one is carbon fiber-ish, carbon fiber adjacent. It's got a cool, It's got a cool shape here. It's got a standard head on it, But it's all one piece. This is all one piece. There's nothing. It's all molded in one piece. Has a nice sound hole right here. Blasts right up at me. Have you ever watched the ukulele crafters make the ukuleles? I have seen. I've seen how Enya makes their ukuleles. That's about it. I haven't seen anybody like craft ukulele makers make ukuleles. I think I watched a video on the Les Paul ukulele, how the Les Paul ukuleles are made. At one point in time, I thought it would be cool to buy a Les Paul ukulele, but I didn't. It was a bit pricier than I wanted to pay, but they're pretty cool and it's fun to play. And like I said, from time to time, not all the time, but from time to time, I will get into the pre-stream gathering on Discord and just strum away. I'm terrible because, honestly, I don't even try to learn the music, right? So I don't remember too many of the songs. But if I have the music in front of me, I can usually struggle through it, and it's fun. They're fun to play. It's easy. It's the easiest of all of the stringed instruments because there's only four. There's only four strings to play, and you don't have to you stretch your hands out like you do with a guitar. Sometimes guitars get a little tough if you got a big stretch to get some different chords. Does anybody here play an instrument? Anybody play an instrument? I wanted to learn to play ukulele so bad. Lightspeed, you can learn to play. Why not? Anybody can learn to play. You don't have to be, superhero player or anything, but if you sit down and spend... Actually, you probably don't even have to spend more than about a half an hour a night. If you spend a half an hour a night for a month and a half, you could learn to play it. You wouldn't be proficient at it. I'm not saying you'd be the greatest player, but you would get the basics down. You'd get a couple of basic strums, and you would learn how to, fret the different chords. And you might not know what all of the chords are, but you could totally read the music. Ukulele music is pretty easy to read. You could totally read the music and be up and playing and have something fun to do in no time at all. I promise you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Believe me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Patty says, I took guitar lessons. It hurts to press the strings. It does sometimes. When you're learning, certainly, those first few nights, there are some painful nights in there. I will not deny that. That is not an inaccurate statement. But, if you just want to sit down and strum and play a song and have it sound cool, totally worth it. Okay, let's see. What am I doing here? I'm trying to do a little bit up here. What I need to do is not fiddle. So I have my lemons down here. I've got the start of this one up here. I might have to do a little bit more with that, but that's okay. I'm going to do a little bit more with the color of the lemon down here, but we've got some of that. What I want to do is get my mint up here. And if you look at our mint up there, it's kind of cool because we've got some different colors of green up there, and that gives us the opportunity to play with some greens. Liza, where are you at? Liza, this is going to be your favorite part. I know you love greens. So I'm gonna put this on, and I'm gonna try to make some of this a bit stronger than the background. And it's gonna go something like this. I've got that lighter spot right here. Is Liza Dwayne say I almost started playing my daughter's guitar tonight, but then you reminded me it was Watercolor Wednesday. Well, first of all, perfect choice. No. No. If you could play it with your daughter, I would say, Dwayne, man, you should be taking the time to learn that thing to play with your daughter. Are you kidding me? You'll have returns aplenty by doing that. You come and watch me paint. You just get to listen to an old man rant on for 2 hours about whatever I've been doing this week. And while I do appreciate it, oh man, learn the guitar, pick it up, play with your daughter. That would be so cool. That would be exceedingly cool. Part of the reason I picked it up was because my youngest plays a number of instruments, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of a moron. What's the easiest instrument I think I can play? And ukulele came to mind. You're gonna have to pick it up tomorrow. Okay, cool. Dwayne, let me know if you wanna have when you get proficient. Not that I am, because I'm not. If you want to have a jam session sometime, I think it would be fun. If you're learning and I'm just kind of so-so, it's either going to be incredibly bad and funny, or it's going to be a fun time. It could go either way. Actually, I should say, I've been meaning to say this. I think I mentioned it once. If anybody wants to, this doesn't have anything to do with musical instruments. I apologize for that, but if anybody wants to moderate this channel, and I'll just warn you now, there's absolutely there's no money in it. It's not a job kind of a thing. It's a just for fun on a Wednesday night kind of a thing. I would love the help. I think it could be really fun. I will be honest, I don't know how that works or how we would go about doing it, but if anybody had any interest in doing it and wanted to do it and wanted to have some fun trying to talk to a group of people about watercolors and moderating a discussion group, we would figure it out. If not, that's cool too. We'll just carry on doing it this way, and I think this way still works out. But I will say, some nights, especially when there are larger groups in here, today we're pretty small, but some weeks we have 15, 20 people in here. Those bigger groups, it does get hard sometimes to keep track of the conversations as they are happening, and moderator would just take care of that. That's all. But as I say, if anybody wanted to try it, that'd be cool. We'll figure it out. If not, that's cool too. We'll figure that out. And honestly, I don't know what it would take to do it either way. Or I guess I do know what it takes to do it the current way. All right, there's some mint up there. Mint, it's kind of mint adjacent, I guess. I've got this middle bit that I want to wait until everything dries. I guess I put that on a little too quickly. But let's see. We've got a couple of other things we can do here while we're waiting for that. We've got a whole lemon over here that we haven't painted. Let me get a slightly larger brush and go back into my bright yellow here. I'm going to start with that as my base. I think in painting a lemon, it's always good to have a bright yellow as a base. And I can look at this and, look at my lemon up there and already know we need to kind of layer on some darker colors wherever they need to go. And I'm going to be a little bit free with these colors. I'll be honest with you. I want them to kind of run around and do a lot on their own. And I'm a big fan of the top shadow up there. Everybody knows that. If you don't have color on the top, it's not going to look round. If you don't have it on the bottom, it's not going to look round. You got to have this lighter area kind of in the center there. Put on a little, let's get a little bit of this green in here actually. Maybe this lemon has a little bit of a greenish tint to it. And we can move any of this color around however we want to move this around, because the whole thing continues to be wet at the moment. As soon as it starts to dry up, then we've got to kind of dial it back a little bit. But while it's still wet, we can make this look kind of however we want to make it look. And as long as I've got that going right there, I'm going to dip into my neutral tint, and I'm going to attempt to put in a drop shadow here. And I'm going to not be afraid to pull some of the color out of the bottom of this lemon. I want some of that color to run out of there. We can adjust it later if too much color has come out or not enough, or however that's going to be. But I want some of this yellowy color to be in with this neutral tint in this shadow. Why am I using neutral tint? Well, I'm using neutral tint because it's already a nice purplish color, at least as far as the neutral tint that M. Graham uses. It's this nice neutral color. It looks like it is kind of a shadow color to begin with. When it dries, I guess I'm off screen a little bit there. When it dries, it's going to have some of this yellow in it because I'm putting it in there. Right? It's going to allow some of the background color to come through. It's just instead of, I used to have this conversation all the time. What color are shadows? Right? What color are shadows? And the answer is, I don't have any idea. But if you look at them the right way, they always look a bit purple-ish. Right? Some people paint them as blue. I always thought blue was not exactly the right color to paint a shadow. Some people do it. I see a bit of purple-ish on them. And so I'm never afraid to throw something that's a little purplish in there for a shadow. The neutral tint gives that to me. It does it all on its own. It's a wonderful, wonderful color if nobody uses it. Everybody, all the regulars here, I think you've all heard me extol the greatness of neutral tint. There we go. Oh, look at that. All of a sudden, we've got a lemon over here. Looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of a shadow on it. It's different than that. In our shadow, you can definitely see it's coming down this way. Looking better. It's getting there. It's totally getting there. I like the direction this is going. It looks good. Thank you, Dwayne. I hope it looks good. That little bit of shadow over here is what made that lemon look good. I needed a little darker down below. That really helped it. And now knowing that I've got a shadow up here, I need to do a little bit something else. I need to darken maybe a couple of these little areas in here. I'm just going to put some color in there, and then I'm going to pull it out. I could have done these one at a time. Really doesn't matter that much. We just need to get them in there somehow. And it's a small enough area that it's not going to really dry up before we can get to it. So we're all good. All right, there's our, oh, it's starting to look like lemonade. I'm sold on the neutral tint for shadows. I like the effect. It's cool. It's a cool thing. It really is a cool thing. And what's even nicer about it, you don't have to do much with it, and you get some of that coolness that goes along with it. I'll just say it like that. Right? You get some coolness that goes along with it. I'm going to add some color up there. I don't think that's really there, but I'm going to add that up there anyways. And I'm going to finish my mint up here. A nice pop of bright green in the middle. Now, I do know that part or more of this is kind of in a bit of a shadow here, so I'm gonna darken up half of this. These little bits are just gonna add a little bit of extra to whatever we're doing. Right, there's some dark over here. Part of the dark on this side. My problem has always been, I like that olive green that I use, and as soon as I start putting it in, sometimes it changes the complexion of the green that's there. That's not always the best thing. Okay, what else do we need to do here? We've got a few more things we need to do to really make our lemonade pop out. I'm going to put a little ring of blue on the top. Some of this. A little bit of blue here and there, right? I want those rings. I want you to know that's where you twist this down. And I'm going to try to work in a little blue in some of these other areas. Right, the underside of this glass. I'm gonna put a glaze of blue over top of that. I'm also going to, while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna tighten up this corner down here. Right, this is a really light lemonade down here, and I don't want it to be quite this light all across the bottom over here. So I'm going to make my lemonade more lemony down here. My prerogative. We're going to see how it goes. And yeah, we might lose it. And Light Star, this is kind of this is my own thing. I sometimes have the opinion that I need to ruin my paintings by going too strongly on them. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but sometimes it really does work out. And I want to make sure I keep this wet, and I can move this color all along. So if I feel I got it on there too strong, doesn't matter. Honestly, doesn't matter. I can manipulate this. Color as much as I want, as long as I keep it wet, or at least a wet edge as I'm using it. It can be a totally different value, and we can manipulate it to make it exactly what we want. But the key is to keep it wet, and for me, that means slightly slightly wet. So if I were doing a wet in wet painting, I would do much more than this. Who does really wet in wet paintings? I haven't watched YouTube in a while, but you know who really does? I used to watch, and I was amazed, and I couldn't do it, and I never wanted to do it because I could never quite wrap my head around it. And I don't know if anybody even watches her anymore, but I would watch Angela Fair. Does anybody know Angela Fair? Fehr. She's a watercolor artist from Dawson City, or Dawson Creek, somewhere in Canada, way out in the middle of nowhere. But she does a ton of super loose things. And I look at it and I go, I don't have any idea how you have done any of that. I couldn't do that. It's not in my wheelhouse to do. But she does it, and she makes it look effortless. And her stuff is super, super wet, super damp, super moist. And mine is not. Okay, so here's what I think we need to do. I like the lemoniness of this down here. I like the lemon slices here. I think what we need to do now is, clear my eyes for 1 second, is get, and I'll show you the reference photo and you're going to see what I mean as soon as I say this. We need to make this side of this glass dark, okay? It's darker. It's a very thin line, but as this glass folds around, it gets dark over here, and then there's actually some pretty brown and some dark right over here in this glass. Maybe even comes down here. I'm going to let you see the reference photo, if I can find where it goes. There you go. And tell me if you can't see what I'm talking about. It's just a dark area down there, or in those areas that that we need to put on so that it adds some roundness to the glass. Let's see. I have a funny story to share. Okay, cool. Okay, so Lightstar, you've never heard of Angela Fair. Okay, spelled her name right. You got it. I'm not sending anybody to Angela's channel or anything, but if you want to see somebody who works with a lot of water, she does, and I don't. You could probably learn a lot from her videos. I think mostly she's gone off of videos and into in-person teaching is kind of the feeling I have. But let's see, your funny story is, a woman I used to work with married a man who with the last name of Fair. Oh, cool. Cool. Here, I got a funny story for you. This has nothing to do with well, I guess it kind of has something to do with last names. But not all through high school, part of high school. And it's odd because my high school had almost no people in it. But I dated a girl who had my same birthday. And then I grew up and I married a woman who has my same birthday. How about that? I had someone telling me the other day that if I am looking at a reference image that I am violating a copyright, which I told him is just not true. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. But I don't use my reference photo to make an exact copy of things. I use reference photos in a slightly more abstract way as a reference. I want to pull from that reference photo the essence of what I'm painting, not the exact thing that I'm painting, if that makes any sense to you. So what I'm painting here is similar to that. It's not exactly that. And I don't want to paint that Whoop, that exactly. I want to paint something close to it that has my look to it, but imparts the feeling that I get from that reference photo. One of the old ladies I worked with thought she was in a car accident too. Oh wait, the woman I worked with who had the last name Fair, she loved the carnivals when they came to town. Right. She came to work. I thought she was in a car accident, and here it was Hickeys. What? Wait. I think I missed something in there. She had a bunch of Hickeys. All right. Let's see. I'm going to put a little dark over here. I think this will help to bring these two sides together. If I put a little dark, in fact, I can get into some of this other color. Put a little dark over here. I don't want to do too much, but I want to indicate, like I said, that this is the side of that glass, and there's a little reflected color over there. Oh, I think this will work nicely. As I look up and I see it up there, I think this will work quite nicely. And I got a little too much paint. I can just get a little damp brush and I can pull most, if not all of that right off of there. And there we go. And I think that little bit of darkness helps to connect these two areas a little bit better. Something like that. And now I've got this little dark line over here I need to do something with. So I am going to darken this up just a little bit. Dark, dark, dark. If I want to go real dark, I grab a little bit of sepia in here. I could actually throw a little bit of this neutral tint in here. It's got that purple hit to it, right? Purple and yellow, purple and gold, purple and something in close to that are on the opposite side of the color wheel. They're complementary colors. They should work together really nicely in there. Something like that. Look, okay. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to make this a more pure color as I bring this kind of all the way up to the corner. Just to indicate that there's some glass there. That helps a lot. Helps a lot. Why did that help so much? It helped a lot more than I thought it was going to help. And I'm going to actually put a little bit of this blue in this corner. Somebody can say, this is where you start to do a little too much. And everything starts to look a little wonky. And you're probably right. This is probably a little bit too much. But that's okay. And here's where we can really start to push things back and push things around. Okay? I can add a little bit of color here and a little bit of color there. If I go over top of that, it's going to kind of make it a little softer. And it's going to push it back that little bit. But we can combine some of these colors in here. Let's see. Sherry's here. Hello, Sherry. My first, Lightstar says, my first husband, my birth name was part of my married name. And doctors would ask me if I was related to my husband because our names were so similar. That's funny. This is pretty funny. My mother, here's another little weird story. My mother, her initials growing up, she grew up and had many monogrammed things, or many more than people would normally have now. And while she was married to my father, her name was totally different, but she kept a lot of her monogram stuff from when she was a teenager or in college or whatnot. And then she and my father divorced and married somebody who had her original the original letter of her last name, not her last name, but the original letters. And I just remember her at some point realizing that and going, "Oh my gosh, I can get out all my old clothes again because they're all they're all monogrammed and they all have the right name on them now." And I'm like, "Mom, this is weird." My brother, his name was the same first name as his wife because it's a gender neutral name. Oh man, they're no longer together. That's names are crazy. Names are weird sometimes, but fun. But oftentimes a little weird for sure. Okay, I'm gonna darken up a couple of things here. And I'm just trying to look to see what we can darken up, what we can make to pop a little bit more to make this maybe stand out a little bit. I actually kind of like where we're at with it. I don't think we're too bad with anything. But I do want to make a few extra things stand out here and there. I think we can do with just a little extra something here and a little something there. Let's see what we can do without messing too much up. It is me, so we might just completely screw everything up, and I'll take the blame for it. You know what I want to do is I want to get a really small brush. So right now the lips, the rings are really light. Really white, I mean. I don't think I want to be quite that white. So I'm mixing up a really thin green and a really small brush, and I'm going to put some more green on here. You know what? If we put a little bit of blue on here too, that'll be okay. I don't know that we can get a little bit of yellow on here, but it makes these, it tones them down a little bit. It was really bright up there. And then I've got some dark, now it's really dark up here. I think what we need to do is make it a little darker down here. Let's even this out a little bit. Right around this corner. Let's make this a bit darker. A little bit of extra color on here. And there's not much to this, right? This is pretty dry. It's basically a one-shot deal. Since it's so dry, I guess I can a little bit. I was going to say I might not even be able to go back and blend this out a whole lot, but it looks like I can just. There you go. Now that darkness more matches this darkness up here, and actually I think seats this in just a little bit more too. There's probably, I'm imagining on my lemonade, there's a little line on this handle. Right? Some of them have that little line. I'm going to put that little line there, and that's going to give that a little something. Okay. So the question is, at this point, am I happy with my lemonade? And I'm not unhappy with it. I wish I really wish I'd have drawn in at least the circle for the ball jar or whatever the logo is. I can't even read the logo, but I know there's a circle there. I could have done something like this around that. I feel like I really kind of missed out on that. But if I look at it, I see some ice here and there. I see there must be some ice up in the top up here. I have a little hard edge over here that I'm going to get rid of right now. I don't want a hard edge. You can't have a hard edge in your lemonade, I don't think. Just re-wet that and make sure we pull that way out. Way out. but I like it. I didn't know what to expect from this going into it. Really, I had no idea. Wasn't exactly sure how I was gonna do it, but we've definitely got a jar of lemonade. You can tell that that's a lemon. Looks like a lemon to me. Casting a shadow. We could actually make this a little darker. We could actually make this dark a little bit darker. It would make it look a little bit rounder. But it adds a little bit of darkness here, right, to the glass. That little line helps to separate these two. Our jar down here, it's got some darks in it. It's got some lights in it. I actually like the way the handle looks. I like the way the top of the jar looks up here with the screw. What do you call that? Teeth? A tooth? The spiral that goes around. You get the idea of that. You know that this is in the top of it, but back inside because it runs through and the lines run through, so it's pushed back in there. And all in all, our lemonade looks pretty lemony, right? Is it a little bright in a couple of places? Yeah, maybe. But maybe we used a couple of extra lemons and had some better juice in there or something like the threads. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, threads. It's getting late. What is it? It's 8:30 local time for me. It's getting a little bit late. So I'm gonna sign this one and call this one done. Let's see. I'll sign it right up here. Next week we are into October, so we really get to have a lot of fun in October when we're going to start doing some cryptids. Look for Bigfoot, look for Chupacabra, look for maybe the Mothman. I don't know what else is out there that we could do. But we can do some that we can really have some fun with and play around with. Maybe we'll do the Headless Horseman or something like that. He's not really a cryptid, is he? Maybe he is. I don't know. Anyways, looking forward to doing some fun things in October. Maybe a little spookier themed or something like that. But that's going to be fun. I'll put it in Discord, what I come up with. We'll have a great time with that. For everybody who was here today, Sherry, Susie, Lightstar, Dwayne, I'm sure Michelle was here too. Whoever else, if I missed somebody else, I am sorry. I didn't mean to. Patty, thank you for joining. Thank you, Michael. Have a great night. You have a great night too. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope you are able to join me back here again next week when we do this thing all over again. Until then, thank you so much. Bye-bye.